So it's been a heck of a week, huh? I don't think, and I'm just going to ramble here for a bit because frankly, I'm just celebrating. I don't think I have seen that sort of landslide win in my entire adult life. And I'm a Dolphins fan. Okay. I'm used to watching landslide victories, just in the opposite way. So that has acquainted me well with pain. But man, this dude is better at taking out female competitors than augmented Olympian boxers. Like, good Lord, that I have never seen that before. Some of you that are watching this were alive for Reagan when he was elected. Is it similar to that? Right? Because I've seen, she got a bunch of states that were just likely to vote for her. But man, that did not, from the start, that didn't look good. Like, just from the start, that didn't look good. Because I was watching the results as they came in. And of course, I have to be a little bit vague here because YouTube is YouTube and I'm not trying to get demonetized for no reason. Boy, I don't think I've ever seen anything that wild as far as just the opening moments were just bad from the jump. It was just bad as far as what was being reported in and what was already being called. From the opening moments, she was never ahead. Just never ahead. Apparently her entire staff never got the memo that it's about keep up, not catch up. And just, dude, that was wild, So, and it's funny because, again, my entire adult life, and especially in 2012, because that's when, the government at that point in time really tried to take out the Second Amendment as it exists. I have heard from people over and over and over my entire adult life that watch media coverage entirely too much and watch, frankly, sensationalist people on either side of the house that try to push a particular viewpoint that, man, we're just going down the tubes, there's no way to avoid it, I'm not even going to try anymore, there's no fighting it, the system is rigged, it's never going to be fixed, we're just going to lose everything and we're beaten. And then you see people that panic and create supply shortages and create price increases and all kinds of stuff because that's just how people are. And I've been watching that, again, my entire adult life. And what's funny is that, like, I pay attention to history a lot and I read a lot. And I study what happens. I have studied what happens in governmental systems where there is a really strong propaganda machine. Right, so you look at, for instance, like communist governments, like Soviet era stuff, and then you look at what was going on with the average citizen within the spicy pinwheel nation, right? That's led by a dude with a goofy mustache. And again, I have to use these vagaries because, again, YouTube is YouTube. And you look at that, and you look at the average citizen that knows that there's a particular narrative being pushed by a very, very vocal portion of their state and their media that's telling them a particular thing, and they know it's nonsense, but then they slip into that same mindset where it's like, well, the whole country's going this way, I might as well not fight it. And you realize that those same people, like me growing up, listening to these people that are like, we're just going down the tubes, it's all only a show, there's only elites that are controlling everything, you need to wake up because there's nothing you can do. I recognize that people that say that the most are people that are the most affected by propaganda, because you look at what has happened this week, and there, especially with the media machine that was mobilized to remove this dude entirely, either as a candidate or in some cases physically. And they lost. They had every single edge, resource-wise, and they lost because the average person is just like, I'm done with this. The average American, that is just like, well, I'm done with this. Right? Because they created a counterculture that they've been losing to badly, really badly, since 2012. And when you pull yourself away from the media machines and the speakers, right, and you just look at the average citizen, I've been saying this for years, that the culture that, certain people on the Southpaw side have been trying to push has been dying. And I've been telling people this, and they're like, oh, there's no way, because they've heard similar stuff, and then they get equally dour and just Eeyore-ish about the whole thing. And you go, no, when an ideology is on its way out, it gets crazier as it goes because it's desperate, not because it's winning. And then they're like, oh, there's no way, because look at what I saw here, based off of some article that references itself as a source. And then you're like, well, here's the deal. If they were really after all the rights and they're winning, how is it that 2A, just in general, has grown in orders of magnitude that are impossible to regulate in the same way that some people that use tent pole subjects to rile up their supporters could actually work and could actually use and create policy that would actually be successful. Because at this point, it's way worse than prohibition ever was. And they went really hard in the prohibition era in stopping people from drinking. And that was impossible to control. Now it's 2A stuff, which is uncontrollably grown to such a degree that there is no amount of censorship on planet Earth that can stop it. Right? And there is no amount of smart business practice that keeps you from actually doing things business-wise with these people, even if there are some individual cases of people getting deplatformed and debanked because you have people that have political allegiances and they want to score their little Pyrrhic victory. But then eventually, for instance, PayPal gets in line, Patreon gets in line, and they just do business with the 2A folks. And never mind the fact that, 2A industry, just all by itself, has grown to such a point where it actually affects the GDP of the country. Right? So, I just think it's wild that I've been telling people about this specifically for 2A stuff for years, and then this election starts, and I'm trying to say the same thing again. I did a video a while back on this saying, look, they tried to peacefully protest this guy into the ground. There is no way he doesn't win at this point, because I've observed history, and boy, that never goes well for the opposition to the dude that takes rifle fire, right? So, and then still, people, again, that are the most affected by propaganda, that are all Eeyore-ish about it, are like, oh, there's no way, and blah, blah, blah. See, these are people that don't actually vote because they're the most affected by the propaganda, and they sell out their values to not vote, right? And all that does is assist your opposition. But there again, enough people that have enough sense will be like, no, I'm standing in the lines. That this time it was like going to Disney in the middle of summer on a Saturday. The lines were ridiculously long, even if you early voted. Right? And post this election, just a general attitude, right? It wasn't like 2016 where there were riots in the streets, literal riots in the streets. This time you just get this sense, man, they're just beaten, aren't they? They're just beaten. Good. Right? So I'm sitting here just kind of taking a victory lap because I'm not the only one that called it. Many other people did. But man, it's just kind of great to just kind of like observe history, pay attention to it, see how this is mapping out, and be like, that's what's going to happen. And then it does. It's great, right? So I'm taking a moment to gloat, just like a bunch of other people are right now. And I got to tell you, man, it would just be nice to have somebody that's actually accomplished something in his life ever that's sitting in the Oval Office. Because, look, you can say whatever you want to about how he rubs people the wrong way or whatever, but let me tell you something. I and you were not doing any better in the last like 12 years than when Trump first took office in 2016. Like, economy wise, taxes wise, price of food wise, none of us were doing better than in that 4-year period in like the last 12 to 16 years. Okay, none of us. So you can say whatever you want to, but having a guy that's in the Oval Office that's actually accomplished something in like real life, other than, political machine life, which is, you may as well just say, I don't know how to lead people out of a paper bag. It's nice. And it's really nice to experience that again. And it's really nice to just kind of exhale for just a second, right? Now, again, he's still a politician, and you got to keep politicians in check. But the cool part is that people know that they can now, because all you got to do is vote. So, again, I'm just sitting here taking my victory lap. I do apologize. I didn't put a video out last week. It was mostly because I was recuperating. I was out teaching a private class that spanned almost a whole week, and that sort of beat the brakes off of me. Tomorrow, we're going back to our regularly scheduled programming because I'm publishing a review on the EOTech EXPS3, and then there's a bunch of other stuff that's going down this month. Another review that's coming this month, probably later in the month, is the 507 comp, and there's various other things that are going on. You guys have probably figured out that I'm putting things on a schedule as far as just video output and that sort of deal. Just ramping up not just quality, but quality quantity as well, which is very difficult to figure out a workflow on. We're not entirely figured out in that regard just yet, but we're getting there, and we're getting there rapidly. So if you want to support us, you can absolutely do that through Patreon, link in the description below. If you want to track us through social media and that sort of thing, again, links are in the description below. If you want to get something out of the Patreon stuff too, $41 a month, we'll get you as much training as you want with us. I am in the process of finalizing my schedule for this following year. So a lot of classes are getting ready to come out, so if you want to take advantage of that, you absolutely can. The only thing that you can't really take advantage of with the $41 a month is private classes or logistically challenging classes, like a vehicle class, for instance. So, that is what it is, but you can attend basically anything else as long, throw yourself into the $41 a month club, shoot me an email when you see a class you want to take, bam, we're set, you're on a roster. Also, finalizing the schedule for this coming year. The Black Friday sale is fast approaching. So convenient how that times out, right? So stay tuned for all of that stuff. And if you don't want to go into a monthly thing, you can just purchase a little super thanks. Throw a couple of bucks at us, because look, we fund our own stuff. We are, in fact, looking to get sponsors and that sort of thing, but that sort of stuff is few and far between because I refuse to take on things like firearms manufacturers, right? For rather obvious reasons, because I do like equipment reviews and things like that, right? So the sponsors for which, especially with the content that I do, are going to be kind of few and far between. But, that is what it is. That said, though, if you want to support us a little bit extra just to help us out produce what we need to produce, there are certainly avenues to do that. Or, of course, you can take a class. So, that said, guys, remember, a regular guy's firearm is the last defense against tyranny. Be easy.